Welcome to this 13 Moon Mystery School offering of the gift of shadow, honoring the unseen, unloved parts of self, or as the alchemists would call it, mining the gold of consciousness from our shadows. So what is shadow? Simply put, shadow is the unknown or as yet unseen parts of self. Shadows are the parts of self that are unhealed, disowned, denied, separated, judged, cast out, and rejected. Ooh. The parts of us that we deem to be imperfect, flawed, unlovable, ugly, problems, needing to be hidden from others for fear of being cast out, hurt, or certainly, at the worst case, not loved. At one level, it is just unconscious material that needs to be brought to the light of awareness. In the Western masculine lens, shadow woundings are looked at as needing to be excised or at least fixed, struggled against, or at the very least, hidden. Instead, in truth, shadow through the feminine lens is seen as a truly evolutionary gift, a perfect marker to show us where we still don't fully love ourselves and others, showing us exactly where and in what ways we hold our vibration down and love out. Get that one. Showing us specifically where we hold our vibration down and love out. Alchemically speaking, love is the expansion of your vibration, and fear is the contraction of your vibration. The truth is, get this, you will not be able to rise above your present vibration until you love yourself just the way you are now. Are you hearing me? Hear this. You will not be able to rise above your present vibration until you love yourself the way you are now. When your vibration is contracted in pain or fear or anger, you seem unable to choose the contents of your own consciousness. And so reality seems to be happening to you rather than you creating it. This is the exact time to choose to love yourself as you are, with, not in spite of, the emotional contraction or reaction. That is the feminine way, to embrace everything, to bring everything home, to be loved into wholeness. The feminine knows that love is the most powerful healing energy and catalyst for transmutation. Our inability to love ourselves or to receive love from others is the source of all illness. Grasp that. Our difficulties with love often result from early childhood experiences or perceptions of betrayal or abandonment or humiliation or rejection, which lead to feelings of unworthiness or unlovability, shame, and guilt. These deep-seated shadow feelings result in a sense of separation from self, from one's own body and spirit, and from other people. While this perceived separation may at first be our psyche's effort to defend itself from fear or abuse or isolation or pain, it eventually becomes the source of continual feelings of alienation and separation and anxiety. Hear me say this. There is nothing that needs to change about you except your ability to open to more love. Nothing needs to change about you except for your ability to open more to love. Changing your job, or your relationship, or your location changes nothing. Love is the only variable that needs to be changed. Changing your vibration, raising your love level is the only action that results in real change. Underscore that. Let's look at this truth through another lens. In alchemy, the final principle is called umbra solis. It holds the power and gift of the shadow to bring us to this lived experience of love. Listen with the viscera to this alchemical principle, umbra solis. The sun and its shadow complete the final alchemical great work. Mercurius, the fluid medium of consciousness itself, mediates and distills the final gold of consciousness through the filter of shadow. And within that process offers the helmet of transparency, the winged sandals of fluidity, and the caduceus of adaptability. In this journey, one passes from the appearance of a multiplicity into oneness. The alchemical principle of umbra solis calls you to become a shadow dancer, to play in awareness with shadows that come up rather than becoming enmeshed and romantically involved with them. Because in truth, the nature of shadow is that it is endless as an intrinsic part of light. Get that? It's endless. Really hear me say this. The nature of shadow is that it is endless as an intrinsic part of light. Umbra solis, the sun and its shadow, complete the great work. Dark night of the soul, loss of meaning. Umbra solis, light itself as the final veil. Umbra solis, solutio, dissolution of the ego husk within the chrysalis. Umbra solis, lens of unity, dissolver of appearances. Umbra solis, disidentify with ego mind, stop making sense, let go of control. Umbra solis, offering perceptual mobility, no set identity, no limits. Umbra solis, the sun and its shadow complete the great work. You are being called as a soul to clear patterns of nigredo, shadow wounds in alchemy, in the personality that no longer serve your liberation into the freedom of witness consciousness. Umbra solis, the sun and its shadow complete the great alchemical work. Quite simply, would now be a perfect moment to wholeheartedly embrace your shadow aspects, lovingly loving yourself just as you are with those shadows rather than in spite of them? If it is wisdom, take a moment in full conscious awareness here and now to bring to awareness what personal shadow, disowned, judged part of self are you willing to fully embrace in love and to actually love into wholeness in this moment. Really feel into what that shadow pattern actually is. Now, take the time to choose to love yourself as you are, with, not in spite of the contraction or shadow that arises. And if you're willing genuinely to embrace yourself just like that, in this moment, do it. For in this embracing the shadow in your love, it is that allows it to alchemically dissolve in divine grace. It is cosmic law that anything of lesser vibration than divine love dissolves in the higher frequency that unconditional love actually is, if you so choose it in full conscious awareness. Will you choose to love your shadow as wholeheartedly as you love your light? If the answer in this moment is yes, then so choose that, and so state that to the self right now. Witness yourself in that choice saying, I love my shadow as I love my light. I love my shadow as I love my light. And what piece of collective repeating shadow negredo have you come to complete as a soul in this long journey of a lifetime for the collective mind field of Earth? To be standing in this moment's potential to move on as a butterfly. Take a few deep breaths to feel what that shadow negredo that is a collective piece that you came in to transmute in this lifetime. Name that shadow that you're here to complete as a soul, and to embrace and bring to wholeness. And if that moment is now, then so offer that shadow. The preceding is a very expanded alchemical resonance of how to work with shadow. So let's look at some more practical and simple ways to work with shadow material as well. The first requirement for becoming a free being, and this is a doozy, big step, is to take full responsibility for your suffering. That's the first step. Are you still playing the blame game? No one outside you is causing your suffering. If you are in blame, reaction, anger, sadness, control, denial, separation, judgment, you are the cause of your suffering. Someone else is just playing a part in your movie that activates your reaction. They are not responsible for it. You are. Any given situation could be responded to in 10 million different ways by 10 million different people. You are always at choice as to the response or reaction that you choose. You are not the victim of your emotions or life circumstances. And when you stop pointing the finger outward in righteous indignation and your own position in the reactive behavior, you are halfway there to the healing of the shadow reaction. When you start owning your reaction, you are halfway there to already healing it. Notice the cause and the effect relationship between your addictions and your apparent or seeming unhappiness, suffering, etc. Your addictions were a means of coping with your suffering as a child, when you didn't have the means to make better choices. So again, this is an opportunity to reverse those decisions you made in childhood by making better ones now. When the body is in reaction, it is a little known fact that neurochemically there is a rampant chemical reaction running in the body that actually makes a change at a cellular neuropeptide level more possible. During the reaction can be a powerful time to reprogram the belief that is subconsciously shaping the reactive behavior in the first place. So when you are in the middle of the reactive behavior or pattern, ask yourself these questions until you hit the one that gives you an aha response. Keep answers simple and childlike, which is the level at which the behavior pattern went into operation. Keep this list handy for bringing awareness where you usually shut down and shut out and go numb and go on to automatic pilot when you're a shadow. First, think of a situation in which you consistently find yourself reacting. When you have that situation firmly in your mind and are bringing it into your feeling body, ask these questions. 1, what am I feeling at this moment? 2, what am I telling myself? In other words, what internal dialogue am I hearing? What message is playing on my tape loop, in other words? 3, what would I like to be hearing instead of that message? 4, what do I want? 5, what past events or programming brought in this addictive reactive behavior? Or how is my past presently coloring my present moment? 6, what am I getting out of staying stuck? That's a biggie. 7, what am I rejecting in the here and now and in myself through this reaction? What 8 does this threat of this situation symbolically represent? And what is my worst fantasy of what could happen here? 9. 10, how is the issue of control involved in this pattern? 11, what is not being said that needs to be said? And 12, what agreements have I broken? The following are some essence witness techniques for working with reactive behaviors, where that was more personality ways of working. 1, acknowledge the emotional reaction without judgment. 2, reparent and nurture the inner child that had the reaction with statements like, I'm totally here for you as an essence. I love you. I will never leave you. 3, forgive or at least hold compassion for everyone who is involved with the wounding. No content is necessary, known or unknown causes. 4, transmute the wounding with this simple statement. I open myself to the total transmutation of the cause, the effect, the record, and the memory of this place in myself that I had not, until this moment, loved into wholeness. 5, offer gratitude to your soul or your essence or your witness, whatever you want to call it, for bringing this shadow reaction to your awareness and for assisting you in holding it. No discussion of shadow would be complete without looking at how to own the projection of shadow onto the outside world. The way we learn on Earth in this Hall of Mirrors curriculum in 3D is to project whatever we're not seeing in ourselves onto the outside world in 3D, so that we can actually begin to see it in ourselves. We can only see that which we are. That is to say, we judge in others what we are unwilling to see and own in ourselves. Point blank. Simple. We judge in others and see it in them what we will not own ourselves, until we will own our projections and grow through them as a lesson learned, so that we can move on. To begin to own our projections and move through them, we must first understand the difference between judgment and recognition. With judgment, there is a charge and a fixity that does not want to give up its identification. With recognition, there's viewing something from a particular position or lens, but there's no charge, and there isn't an identification with an unmoving and fixed position. In the body, Judgment feels contracted, like fight or flight responses, righteousness, those kinds of feelings. Whereas with recognition, there's a feeling of equanimity, a fluidity, an expansiveness, and non-attachment. Judgment is the primary tool of separation. Judgment implies that something or someone does not have permission to live outside of our limited definition of its value or importance. The real truth is that judgment only occurs when something threatens the security or status of the ego's position. Bottom line. Basically, the ego says, I am not that, to define what it thinks it is, and thus feels safe in that limited definition of self. Judgment is simply the opposite of unconditional love and allowance. Each time you judge and thus separate, you slow down your vibration. That's the bummer. Unconditional allowance is the servant of love, as judgment is the tool of separation. And the interesting thing is, the ways you judge yourself and do not allow others right now pinpoints exactly how and where you are holding love in separation and keeping your vibration down. What a gift! What a gift this reactive shadow can be, so that you can, in the moment, make a conscious decision to make a new choice. Honor and work with your shadows. They are profound teachers in spiritual evolution and the curriculum of the Hall of Mirrors on Earth. Learn from your shadows. Love your shadows.